Hello, and welcome to our Valentine's special.
You can
podcast.
see Nadia Sawalha off the telly. If you are listening, she's wearing a dress peppered with red hearts on a black background with a beautiful cleft of cleavage.
Mark!
Just out of shot. I've just blinkered it so that I'm not distracted. I've had to actually put something in the way. Seriously, otherwise we'll have to discuss the first thing that comes up.
Mark! Oh my God, you're so annoying. And
You are too.
And there's a reason why I've got this dress on today.
Why is that?
Well, do you remember last week when we were talking about that it doesn't matter what kind of counselling or help or whatever you get within a marriage, one of the first things they're going to say is that are you listening to each other, and you have to stop and you have to listen. And last week we tried to do 1 whole minute where we wouldn't interrupt each other. I mean, I do think that sometimes because we just get excited by what the other one's saying, and so we want to contribute.
Or infuriated?
But I would like you to solemnly swear that for the next minute and a half or so, you don't say a word.
Oh God, okay.
Okay. So, I feel a bit emotional.
Oh.
You're not allowed to say a word. It's funny because we've talked about this a lot, the possibility of this. And I've always wondered how I would do it. And then I thought this could be a really good way to do it, because we share so much on here and on our YouTube channel and everywhere about ourselves. And I think a lot of what we share about ourselves is quite difficult stuff. You know, it's difficult stuff. Sometimes we get knocked for it. Sometimes I feel hugely protective of you. Sometimes I get knocked for it, for talking about the stuff that you've been brave enough to talk about. And we all know so well how you've struggled with mental health and addiction and all those things. And sometimes I feel like I really do want to shout from the rooftops what else you are as well, because you're so much more than that thing. And I know that, like last week we were on Loose Women, and there was, you did enjoy it, but there's also that fear that people will just define you for that one thing, for your struggles. So I just wanted to say all the things that I think are amazing about you on this Valentine's special.
That's really sweet.
So
it's really blisteringly difficult to sit here and listen to.
Well, you've got to, because I think it's really good for you. I think it's really, really good for you. And I think we can all get caught up with Valentine's. Can I afford a big bunch of flowers? Can we go for a fancy dinner? Can we do this? Can we do that? But actually, I think if you can just bear to sit opposite your partner and actually say the good things about them, surely that's the greatest gift. And I think it's also a really good investigation into ourselves, just as human beings, how difficult that is to do, to hear it. So I'm not going to make your pain go on for too long. So first of all, just when I first met you, you were just such a breath of fresh air to me, to have to meet a guy that was so smart, but in no way have you ever worn that as a weapon. Your achievements are your milestones. You don't pick them up to then use a weapon. I don't know who I would be if I hadn't met you. I really don't know who I would be. I just think I'd be a shell of something that could have been. Everything that I am today, and when I'm talking about, obviously my soul and my heart is a good one, but so much of who I am and nearly all my achievements career-wise actually over recent years has been down to you. I mean, you've believed in me beyond anybody. I wouldn't have had one book, let alone 5. You've shown me, you taught me about so many things without ever being arrogant about them, I mean, I love art now. I didn't really even know art existed, you know. I feel so blessed that even though it's been really difficult, that I, you know, did have the challenge and the joy of being a stepmom, you know, not a full-on one, but a part-time stepmom. And to be able to see what sort of a father somebody was before you got to have children with them is something amazing, because you are an incredible father. And I don't know how you do that when you've never had one. I think I've never met anyone as clever as you, ever. You're too clever. I wish you weren't. I wish you were a bit less clever. I think you're so gorgeous inside and out, and yet you don't think you are.
Yeah.
Is this agony?
No, it's just...
We've got the most beautiful, incredible children. What kind of children would I have if I hadn't had you? I don't know. I dread to think when I think back to some of the people that I've hung out with. So, I would really like to ask you if you would like to.
Go upstairs.
I would really like to ask you if you would like to renew your vows with me.
Oh, you're a funny one, aren't you? Oh, sweetheart. You're gonna have to come over. I'm gonna have to break this shot. Oh my God.
You haven't actually said yes.
I know. I'm just thinking about it.
No, you have to joke it all away.
No.
Never mind. I tried to be romantic.
Don't be ridiculous.
You say I'm not romantic, and then I'm romantic, and you just go, oh, well, let's have a look.
No. Because I'd love to. Oh my
I actually
God.
find it.
Shall I be on camera for saying yes?
Yeah.
Yes, of course I'd love to. I'd love to.
I actually find it really
there's
hard to
such-
be romantic, and I realise that it's difficult to hear me be romantic, but I actually do find it really hard, because I think everybody is vulnerable. I mean, there's easy romance, isn't there, where it's a bunch of flowers or something, and then there's, you know, what do I actually think about this person?
Did you hear me say yes?
No.
I said yes.
Yeah.
I'm saying yes, but all those things that you've just described, without this becoming a vomit fest for anyone else, but all those things that you describe are all the things if I'm honest, I've been conscious of trying to be, because I believe they're all great values, but the only way I can be any of those things that you've just described, and you know, I don't sit here thinking I'm all those things, because one would be strange, wouldn't one? But hearing those things, if that's the best of me, and obviously there's other times when I'm not like that, that's only because you allow it, and that's only because I'm with you, and it's only because I feel, not always, because relationships go through ups and downs, but the relative safety to be those things. I don't feel there's a competition between us at times. I don't feel there's that whole thing of wearing knowledge. I've enjoyed introducing you to things and not feeling ownership of those things. I've enjoyed the way you approach life. I like the way you see life. I think that's what coupledom is about the difference, and where sometimes those differences can make you rub up against each other in an aggravated way sometimes, it also allows you to kind of almost double down on being a certain person, because you feel safe to be that person. So because I know you have an open heart, and because I know you'll actually be really honest about everything, and because I know that you essentially, and I mean, Christ, I've seen you come under, assault on this platform. You come from a place of extraordinarily compassionate honesty and care with everything you say and with everything you do. I mean, I've not met anyone who strives really hard and earnestly and examines their own intentions behind what it is they're saying or feeling at any time. So when I see you knocked to the side because your line of work or your business or your skill is about encapsulating complicated emotions or stories in limited amounts of time, when I hear people just running with a thought or running with a really reductive sort of assessment of you, it really fucking infuriates me. Because you are so much more than all of that. So when you say that stuff about not met anyone as intelligent, you really have to You really have to let that reflect back on you. I know I'm an intelligent guy and it hampers me in many ways, but also as an intelligent guy, you're an incredibly stimulating woman. And in that sense, you are as intelligent as me in a completely different way. And so, because I know you often do yourself a disservice. You often knock yourself down, and you often look at you'll say things and you'll compare and you'll contrast. And we all do that. I mean, Christ, I do it all the bloody time. But, to hear all those things means the world to me. And, before this podcast started, we just sat and held each other for a moment, actually, because we were both I was feeling a bit strange and da-da-da. And that, in itself, is something that when I think of other relationships, it's very hard to carve out that time. Or that person who's willing to be like that, or do that, or take the time to stop. And, that's not to say, God, I don't want it to sound like that. That doesn't happen that often with us because we lead busy, frantic lives. But, so I hear what you say, and I'd love to renew our vows.
Or as our friend Lisa said, because Lisa's the only person that knows I was going to ask you this.
Oh my God, does she know?
Yeah. And I said, I'm going to propose to Mark. And she went, but you're already married. She said, do you mean you're going to renew all your vows?
Oh, Lisa. A-E-I-O-U.
Your hair's sticking up.
I know. I kind of prefer it sticking up that way there. God, now I'm sort of silenced, really. That's really...
Well, I thought...
Because
renewing the vows is going to be a really, really lovely thing to do. And I don't know if we've ever spoken about our wedding, but our wedding was fraught for various reasons. I mean, we'd only known each other 4 months.
Yeah, I didn't actually.
5 months, 6 months, 6 months. And I was pregnant and there was a lot going on for us. And we actually were really busy and we handed over our wedding completely to my mum and my sister Dina, and they were amazing and they gave us the most beautiful wedding, and it was a very sort of traditional wedding in lots of ways.
I was off on location again within 3 days, and then our honeymoon was cut short.
And we've always talked about, wouldn't it be nice to do it again and to get nice photos, because I didn't like the photos because I was pregnant and all of that stuff. So I thought we could just do something really nice for us, and we can just decide everything together. Take the time to do that. We've never done that. We've never taken the time to do something really just for ourselves. Like even when we're planning holidays, it's always been about what everybody else needs. We never plan a holiday just for a holiday that we want to do.
No.
And I think it would just be really nice to really think about how we might do that. Nothing obscene, nothing that costs lots of money, but just something that would be really meaningful to us, I think, and just get some really nice photos and just think about where we're at in our relationship. And I think, thinking as well that this is a podcast and people are listening to it, and we can't just talk about ourselves. I think talking about romance and talking about Valentine's and the enormous pressure there is to be something and how brutal it is to all the single people. I mean, you just read that novel, haven't you, which sounds really good, all about, are we only defined once we're in a couple, all of those
only
things.
Are we only socially seen?
Yeah.
This really made me think about it, how we are only socially seen and have meaning.
When we're in a couple.
Yeah.
And I think this podcast can be for whether you're in a couple or whether you're single, because I think it's about, of course it's become commercialised. I'm not kicking against that. It's kind of nice. I like commercialisation. I love Christmas. But I think that if we can take it back a bit as well, and why not, instead of everyone going, oh, it's so commercialised, oh, it's only for couples, why don't we just take it as a VIP day, as my CBT counsellor said to me. I love this. She said this the other day. A VIP day where you just, whether you're single or whether you're in a couple, you just take care of each other or yourself for that day. So if you're single, okay, if you're at work, but you take some time to do something that you don't allow yourself to do for yourself. you know, like this, like us having a conversation. And it does make me laugh when so often I'll read comments underneath the podcast with people saying, you really do think about stuff too much. It's like, well, no, it's a podcast, we've got to.
It's like watching a chat show and then criticising it for them chatting.
No, but we don't talk like this all the time. We do talk quite intensely a lot of the time.
No.
But I would say, people always say to me, oh, yours and Mark's relationship, I'd love a relationship like yours and Mark. I would say, whether you're single or whether you're in a couple, have a conversation with yourself about what your needs are. How can I cherish myself if I'm single, or cherish, or get my friends and I to get together to cherish? Cherish is a word that so often when I say it to other women, when they're in an uncertain place about their relationship, I always say, do you feel cherished? Because it's so, we've talked about this before, it's so easy to say to someone, I love you. It's much harder than saying I like you. It's so easy to get some flowers or get some chocolates, but have you cherished that person when you did it?
But that's what I wanted to say. Well, I mean, I think in terms of the fact that we're talking about Valentine's, I mean, my thoughts on the subject have changed over the years. I'm like you. I have no resistance or issue with celebrating the commercialization of some things. I mean, I think we're rational human beings who can, to a degree, know when we're partaking in something that's a commercial entity. Christmas is a prime example. I get totally excited by it, but I know it's kind of, you're throwing loads of money at stuff that's going to be forgotten in minutes. But Valentine's, I used to be very, very attached to it as a kind of romantic anchor point. Well, yeah, a raft, but also a barometer. So it was like a barometer that you were coming towards, and you're dealing with your life, and the barometer of Valentine's, you plunge your barometer into the heat and murk and sort of, whatever of your relationship, and you take the temperature based upon how you behave.
That's why I think it's awful.
Well, I think it's entirely inaccurate and an inaccurate barometer, because, I mean, we've had in the past circumstances where I think, I would almost be sort of slavishly attached to the idea of it, a bit like an anniversary. And if things weren't romantically moving in the right direction, I would use it as a symptom to suggest that things weren't great between us. And in fact, I'm not even attending to the 364 other days of the year. I'm focusing on where things are at a point where actually, there are a whole range of mitigating circumstances. I could be in a terrible place at that time, very busy, could be away, you could be busy, distracted. You know what I mean? You're not even accounting for the kind of mitigating factors of how you're feeling at the point of time. Well,
it's a bit like date night, isn't it? Where suddenly everything, all the stars and moons come together, and then you've got to be some, the dogs still need feeding, you're still worried about the kids, you might still have money worries, you might have, none of that just magically
But I think a lot of people use it, like you just saying then, the dogs need feeding. I mean, a lot of people can get very eggshelly around Valentine's, and I think there have been times where we've been like that around anniversaries, and I'm talking about myself having created that, where if you attend to something that's very domestic and menial and matter of fact and not romantic, it's like, well, that's not part of the plan, is it? So it's
almost like that naive Romeo and Juliet. There is no Romeo and Juliet. You can have Romeo and Juliet moments, but you can't suddenly check out of your life and make this day everything that you might feel is missing in the year. But I think it is a time when you can have an honest conversation.
But I think
try to have an honest conversation.
But I think you're talking about sort of giving on Valentine's in a way that's non-material, and I think we have perhaps lost touch with that. I mean, some of the statistics, which are so funny, are like, this year 4 in 5 Brits plan to celebrate Valentine's, which is 79%, so 80%, will be spending more on average this year than ever before, with the average spend of £35 a person being spent by each person this year. Men are the biggest spenders. Men generally spend about £44, women spend £26. Ladies are more likely to celebrate Valentine's Day without spending any money, which is interesting. So this idea of finding ways of celebrating, not now, obviously a huge component around Valentine's is the pressures of romantic action, i.e. sex. It becomes another one of those moments where actually, there's senses of obligation creep in. And so men's gifts generally veer towards the kind of, let's say, naughty and saucy and all that kind of stuff.
And if only men knew that women go, oh God, he's not going to give me one of those again for Valentine's, is he?
I mean, I do worry. I mean, one of the downsides, I suppose, with Valentine's is that so many stereotypes kick in, and we all sort of willingly sort of sign up to them, don't we? It's like, oh yeah.
That's why I would say, I suppose a lot of this, I've been talking, I've been thinking of women, but men do listen to this podcast, and I would say, if you're struggling and you're thinking, oh God, what do I get her? I would hold in my head, cherish. How can I make her feel cherished? Whatever that is. For some women, it might be sexy underwear. I don't know. For other women, it might be taking the rubbish out. But just think about what are those things that she asks from you, that she says that she needs from you. I mean, another really nice thing to do is say, as a gift, tell me 5 things that you need from me. I mean,
But
why not do that? It doesn't have to
where I
cost
think-
money. Tell me 5 things. Here you go. Here's a post-it notepad. Tell me 5 things you need from me.
But isn't it funny?
Post it around the house at some point.
But it's
today.
interesting, as you say that, we're used to that kind of thing. We're used to that kind of, you know, it's not going to be a complete kind of, you know, it's not going to throw a complete curveball at me if you were to turn around to me and go, Mark, we really need to sit down at the weekend and have a chat about stuff. Now, that, okay, I might not want to, and I might be like, oh, fucking hell, you know, we might both be thinking, right, okay, he's got his agenda, whatever. But we're quite used to that. That's why we do these podcasts. But a lot of couples, that is like the idea, that's just not even, it's not even a possibility. I mean,
Yeah,
I can think of couples we
think-
know that wouldn't do that.
That's why I think a really good way to approach stuff like that is not actually face to face. You know, it's like I always say, the phone is an amazing piece of kit.
Yeah.
You could text your partner and say, do you know what? I don't want any presents this year. ... What?
Well,
What the
you see,
hell?
I'm going to
Then
read
they'll
the
come back to you.
as something else.
And they'll come back. Oh right, what would
I'd
it be
like,
read as?
Oh right,
Oh.
I'll go and buy some kinky gear and I'll be round at 7.
No.
Never
yes,
do ...
that's true,
to
actually.
a man.
...
Never do ... to a man. ... infers, well, anything.
Oh. Okay. Well.
No, I know what you mean.
Make some sort of contact, so that even send an email saying, I would just like, and maybe just say to them, can we just have this conversation? Could we just, but failing that, get an overdraft.
No, but I mean,
Buy a diamond ring.
I do think, going back to that idea that is alien to a lot of people. I never cease to be amazed when I hear about or talk to people or see or witness other relationships. For saying we all sort of, you know, place honesty and emotional honesty on an enormous pedestal, i.e., you know, deceit and going behind people's back, that's all considered wrong. It's amazing how dishonest we can all become with each other. And I think Valentine's...
Maybe it's secretive.
Yeah, well, secretive...
Maybe because we want to protect
Oh
ourselves.
yeah, I don't necessarily
Yeah.
mean it in a negative way. I mean, I think we become very sort of protective of ourselves. We don't want to be vulnerable is often the reason for all of this. And that's why sitting down and just talking openly is anathema to most people. But I would say that Valentine's, at its worst, allows us all to keep all of that honest stuff at bay with stuff. With routine, with ritual, with the belief that we should. I mean, like, you know, you always say every year, I couldn't think of anything worse than going out on Valentine's night. And yet you've said to me this year, keep Valentine's night free. I'm completely got a curveball because I was planning something for the night before Valentine's, but I know with the kids and various commitments that we've got, that's quite hard to kind of do 2 things. So I'm thinking, okay, so she's sort of shifted on the Valentine's thing. But, you know, traditionally, the worst night of the year for us, generally, to consider going out for something romantic or to do is a Valentine's night.
Well, I never like to say we're going out to do something romantic because, to be quite honest, when somebody
we always
says,
end up in the rain.
we're going to do something romantic, I'm just like, oh my God, have we got to be romantic? You see, because
It's pressure.
what is our idea of romance? For
Yeah.
me, romance is somebody thinking of me, somebody listening to me, somebody being really, really kind to me, somebody doing something, it could be quite ordinary. Romance to me is rarely big gestures. I find enormous pressure with a big gesture. I mean, it's just like now, just asking you, you know, to renew our vows. I could have done that. I thought about so many different ways that I could do this. And then I thought, well, it would just be a bit eggy. Do you know what I mean? Just be a bit eggy. Whereas actually here on this forum where you always talk so honestly, and people could, who just dip in and out of the content that we put out, just think that you are somebody that struggles with alcohol and has had depression. And I just wanted to say all the other things that you are as well. And so for me, that was hugely romantic to do that. Whether other people might think it wasn't romantic at all.
Oh, it's massively
did it on your
romantic.
podcast? Ooh,
Yeah.
That's not very romantic. But I don't care. I know the feeling that I had to do that, you know, and also, you know, I could have written a speech and I could have put lots of hearts and flowers into that speech. But actually, what I've just been doing is this week just thinking about all the things that make me feel that I do still want to be married to you, because that's what a renewal of vows is. It's saying vows, as Lisa was saying. It's saying I still want to be with you. And actually, what better romantic gesture could there be than somebody saying, I still want to be with you. I still want to look forward to our life.
You're absolutely right. That's
And
why it's deeply
think,
romantic.
So I think if somebody is listening to this and is thinking, how am I going to afford this and what I'm going to do, just think about, and it doesn't have to be renewal of the vows. Think about what it would really mean to your partner if you told them how you feel about them. Put aside all the things that drive you effing mad, because believe you me, folks, there are a million things that drive me mad about Mark and me about for him. But just put those to one side, just for a time, and this is why I think it should be Valentine's week, where you just think, and that's why it's really good that we're putting this out today, just think about your partner as an individual person, how somebody else might see them and think about them and know them, rather than you with all the things that have gone on in your marriage. Just how would this person that's just meeting this person today think of them? And it's a really interesting investigation when you think about it over a week.
I am sitting here wondering if there's a connection between your really, really romantic description and words and proposal, your romantic proposal. I mean, talking about Christine Lampard a lot recently.
But isn't this interesting that you've always wanted to be romantic, and I feel like actually you're just joking it all away. It's really interesting.
No, I genuinely not.
No, I mean, it's just interesting. I'm just like...
No,
I'm quite surprised because
I'm joking
all
it away.
your life you've wanted romance, and I think I've just done something really romantic. This would be so funny if this ends up in a rap.
It's not going to end up in a rap.
I'm joking.
I think it's one of the most deeply romantic things you've said. I'm kind of partly a little bit embarrassed because we are on the podcast, so I'm kind of fanning away with humour. No, I can't tell you how touched I am. I can't tell you how touched I am. I mean, insofar as what you were just describing then of suggesting to people who can't afford things and all that, it is the most valuable gift or proposal. And I see it as a proposal. I see it as a beautiful, romantic proposal. Weirdly, I woke up with a sense of anxiety, which is my state of being every day, and that has ebbed because it's like that chamber of constant worry, and I don't want to get emotional about this, but a constant chamber of worry that I'm insufficient, I don't suffice, I could be better, I need to try harder. I mean, there is a little man in me kind of whipping all the time. I wish he'd fuck off. No, I wish he'd fuck off. But at the same time, the way you've said it, the way you've gone about it, the way you've taken time, the really beautiful way in which you just paused things to just say it how you said it, has presented me with an absolute salve to my heart. And for a beat or several, I don't feel that deep anxiety that I had before. And for me, that is an enormous gift of potentiality for us both, because there are times where, in the difficult times, I can look at our relationship and where we're at, and I think, what can I bring that's new? What can I do that's different? What can I do to keep this alive? And that might sound ridiculous, but it's very real to me. It's very real to me. So when I hear you say that, the gift you're giving me is both your commitment and your love and the generosity and inclusivity of your heart and mind, but you're also giving me some time out emotionally, which I find very hard to get most of the time. I mean, I really do. And, and as I say that, my heart goes out to all those people who are single, who are feeling the isolation and the pressure. This is a salutary reminder that it's not just all kind of roses and I think Valentine's is about that. I think what you've said is almost like something that should be on the effing syllabus. Find non-material ways to make your partner's heart feel complete for a bit, because you can't make anyone complete. That is not what love should be, actually.
No, you can't
fix people, but you can really, really make people feel safer and cherished.
That's my buzzword.
Yeah. And you've done it. I mean, I was just drawn to.
But can I say to you, you don't. When you just said there, I don't know what else I can do. How can I impress her? How can I? I would really like to tell you what you can do, and I'd like you to hear me and hear it honestly, and actually just do it. So, would you like to know? to just give yourself a break. The nasty
There's a voice in my head that says that, tries to say that
But
to
the
me all the time.
nasty people in your head that every morning wake you up and tell you shit, I would like you to evict them from your head, because that's the worst thing in our relationship. That's the worst thing. That stops the flow of our relationship. And it's like I've been saying a lot to you recently. When those voices come in, hear them and watch them talking to your child, and how would you respond to them? What would you say to them? You'd say, get the fuck out of here. How dare you? How dare you treat my family like that? I want you to start saying, how dare you talk to me like that? Because when you are free, there is no one in the world I want to be with. But when you are so torn, sometimes it is really difficult to be around you. Of course, I'm always going to be around you, but sometimes that's what makes it really difficult, when the self-loathing and when you let those nasty people get in.
But can I also
you are smart enough to try now and make the decision that for the next block of your life, you are actually going to evict these nasty fuckers.
Well, I also want you to promise me that, the reason I'm with you in this really weird brain and heart here, which is messed up, fucked up, but also can do a lot and think a lot and feel a lot. Trust that I see you as my equivalent. Trust that I respect your brain. Trust that I respect the way you approach things, your insight on things, your emotional intelligence. I have learnt everything I virtually know from you in terms of being able to, access my own instincts, but trust that there is an equivalence here, because you often do yourself a disservice.
I do.
And you often,
I do trust that you
No,
feel
I know, but
all
you
that.
will often cut yourself off from indulging or listening or engaging or doing things because you think you're not worthy. And I see you do it a lot more than you trust. You do yourself down in conversation. You knock down your own achievements.
Oh.
Yes, you do. I mean, you'll say, you'll knock it down. And I notice that you're knocking it down, not directly, but indirectly, because you think perhaps it's a bit sort of, mainstream or whatever. And I don't have any of those hierarchical, I don't think of things like that. That's why I love sitting here and talking about showbiz with you. It's why I love watching shows with you. It's why I love being silly with you. Your capacity to straddle so many different things is second to none. But can I just share with you some of the more practical things as we get to the end of this podcast with Valentine's? Valentine's cards. What do you think of them? They can become weaponised.
I think I'm not a great card giver.
No.
Never have been. But I think if your partner really loves getting a card, make the effort and get them a card. Some people, their whole Valentine's is destroyed because their partner didn't remember to give them a card.
I know.
If your partner was upset last year, make the effort and get a card.
Yeah. But there's another whole stress around Valentine's cards, because I remember when I was a young adult, first girlfriends and all that kind of stuff. My worst moment of the year of jealousy was if someone I was with or loved or fancied got a Valentine's card from someone else. I couldn't bear it. I then went into super sleuth detective mode and wanted to stalk the person, find them, and destroy them. And so I've lived, so there's that sort of dangerous edge.
You're asking me to go back about 100 years
No,
sorts of
but because of course we all just give Valentine's cards to each other now, but really the original idea behind St. Valentine's is the idea that a card, you don't know who the sender is, and it is sent to someone that, isn't aware of.
Last year it was really exciting because Lee, our warm-up guy at Loose Women, who's also a good friend of mine, got one and he really didn't know who it was from.
So you saw the effect of Valentine's.
And it was so exciting because
lovely.
Everyone, the whole building across all the programmes, everyone was trying to work out who it was.
Yeah.
I loved that. Yeah, but I suppose I just don't have that memory. It's been decades since somebody's given me a Valentine's card that I didn't know who it was from.
So I'd have thought for single people who aren't at that point in their lives where they're thinking fearing they're going to be single all their lives, the idea of receiving a Valentine's card is a deeply thrilling and potentially exciting prospect, because it's like, there's an unknown lover out there, and I don't know whether technology has removed that. I suppose technology allows you to send Valentine's, but 15%, get this as a statistic, 15%, so that's 1.5 in 10 of women send themselves flowers.
Oh.
I know that. I don't know why that's
I
statistic.
like that.
I like that too.
It goes back to my VIP. Treat yourself
Yes,
like a VIP. Take care of yourself. You know, I think that's a lovely.
And 11%, so just over 10%, will also buy themselves something for Valentine's too. Self-care, self-love,
Lovely.
self-worth. Do you like receiving gifts on
I
Valentine's?
think on Valentine's we should have a really,
Carnal
you know,
sex.
like people
Sorry.
have like wedding meetings where they sit and they plan. And why don't we have a renewal vows planning meeting
AEIOU.
where we set some time
Yes.
aside? We don't have our phones on. Get the computer out, and we decide where we want to do it.
Wow, that sounds so self-caring.
I mean, I'm thinking about somewhere by the sea.
Do not go to the subject of my play. Are you talking Cornwall?
Oh, well, find out from
on
our
a
next
windy
podcast
bluff.
what we decide.
Okay,
for
well,
our
look,
renewal.
share your thoughts, guys. And if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, please press the maximum number of stars. And if you're going to ask the question, why do you two bother doing these? I would suggest you unsubscribe and don't watch anymore. That's it. Because then you don't have to be
That's a
bothered by
very
it.
nice note to end on.
No, I
That's
just
a bit
mean that.
sour.
No, because usually what happens at the end is, why are these, so it's just like, just...
I think that was a bit sour. Do a nicer ending.
Anyway, I'm going to come around and give you a huge hug. It's going to be the ending I'm going to... Well, that's the first ending I'm going to give you.
What are you like today? I must remember that this is what happens when I wear a dress.
I know, don't wear dresses too often.